What's up, you guys? This is your girl, Queen Talks Crime. I am back with another video. Shout out to my old subscribers. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Make sure you hit the post notification bell so you'll know what every time I come through with another video. I know y'all been waiting on this video, right here. So here it goes. So right here, this video is going to be my commentary on John Chief Walker, on his interview he did with Perla. My next video I do, I'm going to answer some questions about the missing Cal City boys, but not on this video per se, okay? So I got my notes with me. I'm going to say what the chief said, and then I'm going to, read between the lines, because I don't think a lot of people are reading between the lines of, the video. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with is the chief saying that the boys are optimistic. He's being optimistic about the boys being alive. You could take that either way. You can take it as, he can't say whether the boys are deceased or alive. So, he don't have proof otherwise that they are dead, so he can't say whether, the boys are alive or dead. He can't say. So being that he can't say whether they're alive or dead, he has to assume that they're alive until he can prove otherwise, right? Okay. So that's, my take on that. I do believe that he is keeping, I believe they know something. They have an idea about the boys. He just can't say at the moment. So I think that's what, he just being optimistic and saying, well, we don't have proof any otherwise that they're deceased. So we're going to just, go with, what, they're alive until I get proof that they're deceased. But even if he does have an idea that the boys are deceased, he can't come out and actually, say anything. He can't come out because it's still an open investigation. So he can't just come out and say, hey, I believe such and such and such and such, because it's an open investigation. Okay? So let's move on to the next thing. The next thing is the boys had assistance getting out of the yard/house. So we know the boys was taken because their scent, smell, nothing was in the outside. No footprints, no smell, no anything. So this is what we already know, that the kids had assistance getting out of the yard, that somebody took the children out the yard, okay? Or they was never in the yard. I don't believe the children was ever outside the house or the yard anyway, okay? So I don't believe the kids was outside of the said home, okay? And Chief Walker said the boys had assistance getting out of the yard, meaning it's possible they was never there, or they was taken, picked up, put in something. They could have been placed in something. They could have been picked up. Whatever the case may be, there's no proof that they was outside anywhere of that house. All right, now we can move on to the next thing the chief talked about. There was foul play involved. He's still saying that there was foul play involved, okay? Meaning someone came and either took the children from their legal parents, which is the West, Jacqueline and Trezell, or Jacqueline Trezell did something to those children. Either way, there's foul play involved, because the kids are missing. They're not where they're supposed to be. Okay? All right, moving on to the next thing that the chief addressed it. He addressed that there was dozens persons of interest. And he used dozens with the S. Okay? Meaning there could be a ton of people as suspects. Persons of interest. Person that could possibly have kidnapped a child or taken them. Right? So, you got the Dean's side of the family, which is they have a dozen in themselves. You also have the West side. So either side, because we don't have no proof that the children are deceased. Okay? So if we're being optimistic that the kids are alive, they could be on either side. They could be with either Deans could have them, the West could have them. Persons of interest. Now, I'm adding in Dean or West, a person of interest. Okay? Because we don't know. So, everyone's a suspect because we don't know where the boys are. We don't know who have them. So, everyone is a suspect until further notice. Multiple agencies involved. So, I'm glad the chief validated and let it be known that there are multiple agencies involved. Bakersfield, FBI, Kern County. So he still have sources, outside sources that are helping him with this open investigation. So we have a good chance of this case not being a cold case because we have multiple agencies helping with the case. Meaning, like I said again, he said Bakersfield, FBI, Kern County, everybody is assisting him with any resources he need to help find the boys. He got access to it. Okay? So I addressed that. This was a good interview, by the way. He did say that the case will not go cold because they will continue to look. So, he informed the people that the case will not go cold and they're going to continue to look. So they're not going to let this become a cold case. So you don't have to worry, they're going to continue to do their job. They're letting the people know they're going to continue to look. They didn't just give up on Orrin and Orson. They're going to continue to look for the boys. Chief Walker also addressed that he's not going to rule out human trafficking. Okay? He's not going to rule out human trafficking. Human trafficking is a possibility in this case. He's not ruling it out. Why? Because he don't know anything. I believe he knows more than we do, but he can't tell us. But he told us he's not ruling out human trafficking for the people that believe that, the children was possibly human trafficked or whatnot. The chief did not rule that out. Okay? So I want to let you guys know that. He's sure that the boys are not inside of the Aspen house. He searched possibly everywhere. So the chief said he's sure that they're not in the Aspen house, that they use multiple devices to check outside, underground, every possible place inside the house, meaning in the walls, under the floorboards, everywhere we could possibly think of. The chief said they've searched. And he's 110% sure that the boys are not in the house. Okay? Um, what I think about that is that the kids was probably dismantled to particles and discarded out somewhere. Um, I mean, people do it every day. People get rid of bodies, and they're smart about it now because, some people still kind of, messy with it, but there's some people out there that if they want to get rid of you, they can get rid of you. And, a child is a small person to get rid of. You can get them down to nothing and discard them easily. They could possibly be in a landfill right now. We don't know. I don't know if people even looked out in the landfill yet. But I mean, that's a place I feel like people need to look because they could have been just dumped. He also said that the dogs alerted inside of the house. So they had the cadaver dogs. They had the cadaver dogs at the house. We all know that they was there searching. The dogs hid in the inside of the house, not on the outside of the house. Now, we all know this, okay? And it could have possibly been a smell that they alerted. It doesn't mean necessarily that the boys were inside of the home, but the smell of the boys was in there, the scent, okay? It could have been from whatever, if they brought something from Bakersfield to the new home, or the boys could have actually been there. Either or. We don't know for sure because we don't know anything. But it's possible the boys' bodies was inside of the home and removed, or if they never made it, they could have been something that they had, clothes, bedding, couch, whatever, brought to the home, and their body scent could have still been on the item and the dog hit on it. Okay? And let me make this clear that he also said that the cadaver dogs, the search dogs, are just a tool. So it's just a tool to use to help guide them in the right direction, such as the polygraph too, because we're about to get into the polygraph part of the interview. But the polygraph, the cadaver dog search, all of it's just tools to use to help guide them in the right direction of closing the case or finding the children, to getting answers. Okay? Okay, so the chief, he did not comment on the polygraph. He didn't say whether or not Trezella Jacqueline took the polygraph or agreed to take it. He did not comment on that. Now, we know that from before because he said the same thing before. No comment. And he did the same in this interview. He did not comment on the polygraph. He didn't say whether yay or nay if Jacqueline Trezella took the polygraph. Okay? He's sure that the kids didn't wander out into the desert. So the chief is sure that the kids did not wander out into the desert, and they searched the desert completely 1 week later after the children went missing. For me personally, that's way too late to be searching the desert, but that's just my opinion, okay? I believe they should have searched it that day, if not the next day, the whole desert. But I'm sure they had to go by a certain things that they had to go by. But at least the desert was searched, okay? So he's sure the kids didn't wander out into the desert, searched desert 1 week later, and they searched it with infrared airship, which detects any live bodies, okay? So it goes red, and it detects from up in the air if there's any live bodies in the desert somewhere. And it also has a light to beam down as well. okay? And it's an infrared airship. So they use that technology as well to search out in the desert for Orrin and Orson. And they came up with nothing. All right, so the chief moved on to the broken femur. Okay. So the chief said it was ruled an accident. Okay. And this is where I think there's a issue in the interview. And this is why I believe that the interview was taken down, not out published. You can only catch it for the people that recorded it on their channels, but it's not up on any news sites, websites. The interview was taken down because the chief said that the broken femur was ruled an accident, that the child could have accidentally broken his leg. Him not aware that the child was an infant, and an infant can't even roll over, can't run and break their femur. So that was an inconsistency in the interview, which led, I believe, the interview to be removed. Anytime you have any false or inconsistency in an interview, a news interview, they're going to remove it if it's not facts. They have to put facts out or facts up to what they know in a news broadcast. They cannot put what they think or believe and be incorrect and have it aired. They cannot do that. So that's why I believe the interview was removed, because it was inconsistencies with the broken femur statement, because he stated that the child, to his best knowledge, to what he believes, what he thinks, it was an accident. To his knowledge, it was an accident. That it was an accident the child run and broke his leg. At 3 months, the baby don't run. Okay? The chief was wrong. I believe if he knew that the child was an infant, he would have never put that in the interview, which caused it to be removed. But that was the only thing that I personally, know for a fact that he had got incorrect. Everything else, was pretty much informative in the interview, but that was the main thing that I know for a fact he got incorrect. Because if he knew that it was an infant, he would have never said the baby, the child ran and broke his leg and it was an accident. And also, on top of that, CPS doesn't remove children for accidents. Now, I've said that in my last video when I had to set a couple of people straight. In my comment section, I did address that, but I'm just going to, state it again anyway, that CPS does not remove children out of said homes for accidents. It's just that it's illegal. They can't do that. They have to have information which will cause them to remove a child. Okay. Is it possible they can be with the extended family, Dean or West? So this was asked in the interview. Perla asked, is it possible they can be with the extended family, bio family, Dean or the West? And the chief said anything is possible. Anything is possible. I have people, that support me, that believe that it's possible they could be with Dean or West. I believe it's possible myself they could be with either the Dean or the West. We don't know, because we don't know where the kids are. They have not turned up. It's been a little over 2 months. We have no idea where the kids are. So they could be with the West or Deans. We don't know. The police still don't know. They could be either with the Dean or the West. Nobody knows where the kids are. And he also said it's a possibility. And they're looking at it. And that's where I believe the dozens of person of interest come in at. Because you're going to have to look at this point, you got to look at everybody. Bio, family, and adopted. Perla also asked the kids possibly seen by neighbors, but not definite which kids were seen. So he couldn't, he said that the chief did state that some neighbors did see the children, but couldn't indefinitely say that's Orrin, that's Orson. So some neighbors stated they didn't see the kids, they didn't see no kids the time that, that they was neighbors with them. And some neighbors said, yeah, I've seen a few kids, but they can't say indefinitely they saw Orrin or Orson. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. We're almost done here. It was a pretty lengthy interview, about 20 something minutes. But I wanted to just, document everything I could so I can just go over it one good time for y'all. Perla also asked, last to see kids, adoptive parents, and grandmother, which grandmother? Now, so Perla asked, who were the last to see the children? Okay? The chief said, obviously, the adoptive parents was the last to see the children. Obviously, they reported them missing, right? Okay. So Trezell and Jacqueline would have been the last ones to see Orrin and Orson. Also, he did state that a grandmother, didn't state which grandmother, but a grandmother was also one of the last ones before Jacqueline and Trezell to see Orrin and Orson. Now, my question is, which grandmother? Which grandmother? On Jacqueline's side or Trezell's side? Because the chief didn't clarify which grandmother was the last to see the kids. He didn't clarify which grandparent. Okay? So that is a very good question. Which grandparent? So that's the question that I have. I know some of y'all have the same question. But yeah, so he did say Jacqueline and Trezell are the last to see the kids and a grandmother. Not sure which one, but I have that question. Which grandmother was the last to see the kids? He also interviewed, the chief did say he interviewed the other 4 children of Trezell and Jacqueline's, and he could not comment on anything that the children disclosed to him. In my opinion, I'm sure, they disclosed some things to him, but of course, being that they're minors, he couldn't disclose it to us, and it's an open investigation. But I'm pretty sure that the other 4 children disclosed some type of information to them, whatever that they asked. And, I did hear about Trezell coaching the kids on the date of them last seeing the children on the 19th, which some people don't believe that the kids possibly was gone before then. I believe that was gone before then as well. Let me put that on record. I believe that the kids was gone possibly longer than the 19th. But, so, it is rumored around that Trezell possibly told the kids to say, hey, you seen them lastly on this date. Okay? So let me just put that in the air. But, yeah, the chief could not comment on what the children disclosed in their interviews, because the open investigation and they're minors, and you don't want to tip off any suspects that you have in a public interview. Okay, so the chief, not sure if adoptive parents has lawyer, and they're still cooperating. So Jacqueline and Trezell are still cooperating. So what the chief is saying, they're still cooperating with the police, and he's not sure if they have lawyers. He's not sure. And that's another reason why I feel like the chief is not really disclosing anything, because he got them still cooperating. And if they are suspects, they don't even know that they're suspects. For real. If he goes about it the way he goes about it, you know, get them comfortable enough, they could actually slip up. And while he's building his case and keep building it, keep them cooperating. So when he does actually get some actual evidence, he can make an arrest. If Trezell and Jacqueline actually did something to the kids, which I think it's possible that they did. It's likely that they did, in my opinion. The chief also disclosed that the birth family is cooperating, the BioMom. The BioMom is cooperating, and he is not sure if she has a lawyer. So he stated in the interview that he's not sure if the BioMom has a lawyer either, and said that she is cooperating. He last spoke with her around the time 2 months ago when the kids went missing, but he did not say he spoke with her anymore after that, but she has spoken with other people on the force. So let me put that out there. So he's saying he's not sure who has a lawyer. So I just think it's kind of funny that the chief, you know, is unaware of their lawyers. So is it possible they don't have lawyers? So where did that come from? Because, you know, people are out there saying that they have these lawyers and their lawyers are telling them not to speak. Well, the chief came out and said that they don't. I mean, that he's not sure, because they've been cooperating. They've been speaking. So he's unaware. Chief said he's unaware of if the lawyers, if they have one, he don't know. Yes, and let me reiterate this again. He last spoke to the BioMom the day after the kids went missing. He didn't talk to the BioMom anymore after that himself, but other people on the force have been in contact with the bio mother. Let me say that again. Make sure I don't leave anything out. Okay, so this is a very good point. Chief also said they did not instruct anyone not to talk to media. So if anyone on either BioMom side, Bio family, or West family say that the police instructed them not to speak to media, not true. Chief came out and factually said that they did not instruct anyone not to talk to media. So if anyone is not speaking or speaking to media, it's because they themselves want to or didn't want to speak to media. So if they haven't came out, it's because they haven't came out on their own free will. If they have spoken, they spoke out because they wanted to speak out. But one thing I will say, as a lot of information continuously comes out in this case, I see a lot of people go under, stay under the radar. They're not really out speaking. They're not giving out any information. They're just laying low, and that's a red flag. It's kind of a red flag to me, but that's just me. All right, we're almost done here. Almost done. They have hours and hours of footage. The police did disclose that they have hours and hours of footage that the FBI has, and the FBI is going through multiple hours of video footage of the case, of all the footage they have. And I'm sure they're not just going over the video footage around the Aspen house. I'm sure they're going over if they was at any stores, maybe that footage as well, anywhere they could possibly see, or, you know, they did take their texts. So they probably could go over footage if their phone pinged at any locations. They probably asked for a copy of the video footage of any pinged location at a store, per se, and they're going over that footage as well. It's possible they're going, like, it's sure they're going over hours and hours of footage. That's a fact. But it's possible, you got to remember that they took their text. So they could be going over, you know, if their phone pinged at any area, any store, they go in and ask for a copy of the videotapes, and they possibly going over that footage too. But they're going over hours and hours of footage with the help of FBI as well. Chief also clarified again the time of the 911 call. That was at 5:45 p.m. So the call came in from Jacqueline and Trezell about Orrin Orson going missing at 5:45 p.m. The police arrived, he said, around 10 minutes later. But he said the first arrived maybe 5 minutes. Then the next was around 10 minutes. Okay? But the whole window was within 10 minutes for sure that the police was at the location. The 911 call is still a part of the investigation. Okay? So the 911 call cannot be released. The chief said they're not releasing the 911 call. It is still part of the investigation, so they're not releasing it. Yes, we know in some cases they can still release 911 calls, even if the case is open. But in this case, they're not releasing a 911 call. And I would like to hear the 911 call because I want to know what was said on it. That's interesting, right? But you can't retrieve it at this time. Maybe when they close the case and find the boys, find what happened, then maybe they'll release it then. I'm not sure, but that I would love to hear the 911 call. Also, let's talk about what was removed from the home. So what was removed from the home was clothes, bedding, and tech, computers was taken. Okay? I'm going to repeat it again. Clothes, bedding, tech, phones, computers was removed. So, that was all taken into evidence with the police and the FBI. So, Perla also asked, did they find pictures and anything else, you know, in the phones? Did you find any recent pictures? So the police chief did say they found pictures and more, but can't speak on what he found. So he didn't clarify if there was recent pictures in the phone. He didn't clarify if there were old pictures in the phone. He just said he found pictures on the phone. He didn't say recent or old. He found pictures. And he did not, and he said he found pictures and other stuff, but he can't disclose what he found on the phone. He can't speak on it. So if Jacqueline, and because they got their phones back, they do have newer phones, but they do have their phones back. So if they have newer pics, it will be up to Jacqueline and Trezell to release those pictures. And we see that they haven't released no newer pictures. So if they're not releasing any newer photos of Orrin and Orson, it's because they don't want to or they don't have them. It's one of the two. They don't want to release newer photos or they don't have the newer photos to release because the police gave them their tech back and they are able to release new photos to the public. So if they haven't released them, it's because they don't have the photos or they choose not to release the photo or give us the photos. It's only the two. Okay. The chief also spoke about calls coming in complaining that the police aren't doing their jobs, and they're criticizing the police. So the chief spoke on the calls, the negativity that's coming in, and he's saying, hey, chill with the negativity. In other words, you know, you're taking the focus off the kids. Y'all are tying up the lines, or they, you know, they could be focused on finding the boys, or you got people calling in tips. So if you're calling Cal City Police Department with negativity, complaining and griping and moaning and complaining, that's not helping. Why? Because there could be tips coming in. You tying up the line. That energy needs to be focused on finding the boys, not dealing with people complaining. They need their time and their energy to be focused on finding the children. So I agree with that. If you don't have a tip or idea or anything useful that could help with the case, don't call and bug and harass the police department with unnecessary stuff because it takes up time and energy. It's only 13 of them anyway. So if you're taking up all your time and energy calling and complaining about police ain't doing this, the police ain't doing that, they can't answer the tips. They can't go focus on what they need to be focused on because they're focused on nonsense with you. So, you know, he addressed that in the interview, and I agree. The focus needs to be on finding them, help find the kids. Let's stop criticizing the police because they're doing the best they can with the resources. Let's stop criticizing them, and let's put the focus on finding the boys. That's what we need. Okay? Well, that pretty much sums up the interview with John Walker, the chief. I know I said it kind of backwards, but yeah, so that's pretty much sums up the interview on what happened. So like I said, it was a great interview. It was a really good informative interview. The only thing that which really, I believe, messed up the interview where it had to be removed was him speaking on the broken femur on a 3-month-old about them running and accidentally breaking it. That was completely false. So it had to be removed. But if he would have known that the age of the child was 3 months, I don't believe he would have put that in the interview because that's completely incorrect. Completely incorrect. So that's why I believe the interview was removed. But other than that, the interview was very informative. You know, yes, it had some of the things that it had in the prior interviews, but this one, you know, it's very informative. Like I said, you can read between the lines on things he did and did not say, and you can speculate and go forth with that. My opinion, I really believe that he knows more and he has an idea of what happened. He just can't say. He don't want to tip off the suspects and do too much where they could be tipped off and possibly flee the area, or stop cooperating altogether. We don't want that. So, of course, I agree that, you know, you don't want to tip off a viable suspect. So I know, like I said, he knows more. I'm sure they still analyze it. I'm sure stuff have came back from the evidence. He just can't say. So I'm sure he has an idea of what's happened to the boys, but he just can't disclose any of that information. Obviously, it's an open investigation. So, I mean, you got to be understanding and patient with that information. But once again, thank y'all for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Hit the post notification bell so you'll know what every time I come through with another video. Shout out to my old subscribers and my new subscribers. I'll be back with another video tomorrow because I still have to do another video answering more questions on Orrin and Orson. But I just want to do this separate video just specifically for the interview with John Walker. And then I will upload another video tomorrow answering more questions. But thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all later.